Hello! In this video I'm gonna teach you how to make a babka, which is an Eastern European Jewish braided bread brioche filled with deliciousness. It's sweet, it's soft, it's moist, it's just really good. I'm very proud of this recipe because I started off from the traditional recipe with commercial yeast and I adapted it to use sourdough starter. This is more or less a 24 hours recipe. I normally start midday of day one, where I refresh my starter. I have a 50% hydration starter, and so I feed it to make it become 100% hydration. Then in the evening I mix the ingredients, I put the dough in the fridge, and then the next morning I roll the dough, I put the filling, I braid the babka, and I do the final proofing so that around the middle of the second day you can bake it. This is flexible, so the time the dough can spend in the fridge can vary from like 8 to 16, 18 hours even. So I'm gonna skip the feeding of the starter. You have your 100% ripe starter. Let's jump directly to the evening to mix the ingredients and start to make this delicious babka.
Sprei sich mir mit Kiche, Tritt. Bei Nacht auf Viertel zum Jahri, Bei mit Teiste kling ich mir. Und a Lieder sing ich mir. Dai, 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 dai. Dai, 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 dai.
Okay, so first of all we're mixing the liquid ingredients, so the milk, the eggs, two small eggs. This is for 2 babkas. No shell. We're gonna add the sugar as well. The vanilla extract, 1/4 teaspoon, and most importantly, the sourdough starter. Now, as you can see, it's bubbly and ready to be used. 150 here. I'm gonna use a stand mixer. You can do everything by hand if you want, really. Pinch of salt. And now I will use the stand mixer. We're going to use this kind of tool.
Sprei sich mir mit Kiche, Tritt. Bei Nacht auf Viertel zum Jahri.
That's good enough. Now I'm going to change to the hook. First, let me add all the other ingredients. The flour. For the flour, I'm using a mixture of a 00 relatively strong flour and a plain flour. The details are written below. I do want some gluten, but it's not bread, it's not a cake, it's a brioche. And the butter as well, which I took out of the fridge a little bit to warm up. It's quite soft. It works best if I just add all the butter immediately. If it's too melted, it might be a bit greasy. Now I'll put the hook. I'll start slow and then I will accelerate.
Bei Nacht auf Viertel zum Jahri. Bei mitten Teiste kling ich mir. Und a Lieder sing ich mir.
Okay, so we finished using the stand mixer and I'm going to just pull the dough on the counter. As you can see, I'm not using even any flour or anything. I hope I don't need it. I don't want to add flour. Also, I don't really want to knead this in any particular way. Maybe it's not even necessary. I just enjoy feeding the dough. It looks pretty good. What do you think? I'm gonna just kind of fold it a little bit on itself, build the structure in a way that's different from what the stand mixer was doing. And you can see it becomes a bit smoother. I don't need to do anything else, it looks fine. Now I'm actually using another bowl because this is gonna go in the fridge later. So I'd rather use this bowl, it's just more convenient for me, but you can use the stand mixer bowl if it's good for you, if you have room in the fridge. So now I'm gonna just put it in here and cover it with a kitchen towel. It's perfect. So now we're gonna leave this here for 30 minutes and we're gonna do a stretch and fold like what we do for bread normally. We're gonna do a couple of them at the distance of 30 minutes and then we're gonna leave it a little bit more on the counter to start the fermentation. And then we're gonna stick it in the fridge until tomorrow morning. Yeah, it's 11 here already. I started pretty late this recipe today. Let's leave this here and I'll do a stretch and fold in 30 minutes. Okay, so 30 minutes have passed. You can see the dough is very nice and smooth. Let's just do a round of stretch and fold, very simple. So pull, fold in the middle, rotate, pull, fold. It's already pretty compact, so I'm gonna just, as I was doing before actually, I'm gonna just kind of close it down like this. Okay, that's it. I'm gonna do another one in half an hour. This is probably not even strictly necessary. Probably if you skip even this step, it's gonna be fine anyway. I'm doing it, that's my recipe. Follow it if you want. Okay, so let's do now the second stretch and fold. Another half an hour has passed. You can see how nice is the dough, how it's compact. Okay, perfect. I'm gonna cover the bowl with this silicone cover that I have, but you can use a plastic wrap. Now I'm gonna leave it here on the counter for another hour or so, and then we're gonna put it in the fridge. 8, 10 hours, 12 hours, 16 hours. It's flexible. Okay, thanks.
Blue skies smiling at me, nothing but blue skies do I see.
Good morning. So the day outside is pretty grim and grey and cloudy and rainy. The babka dough is in the fridge. Let's take it out. Let's sweeten the day and make some babka. Okay, so I've taken out the dough from the fridge, so it's cold, which is gonna make it less sticky and probably gonna be better for our operation. Now let's take it out of the bowl carefully. Now this part here is a bit drier, obviously, so I think I'm gonna try and start rolling it on this side. Getting some of the flour ready in case I need it. I want to cannot use too much flour. I'm going to use flour on the rolling pin for sure. I will do some light flouring here. Okay. So this is for 2 babkas. We want to make a rectangular shape that should be around 50 by 40. You can obviously halve the recipe and make just 1 babka. I'm just starting to give it a bit of a rectangular shape with my hands.
Spreis ich mir mit Kiche tritt. Hoi noch a Viertel zum Jahr Hoi mit dem Teister kling ich mir Und a Lieder sing ich mir
Okay, I need to make it a little bit bigger, if I can. And then it will be what it will be. Okay. It's not a perfect rectangle, but that's absolutely fine. Now we start to put the filling, and here, frankly, it's whatever you want. You can use cinnamon and sugar and butter, some kind of fruity thing with some jam. Not too chunky, because we're gonna roll it tightly. I'm gonna cheat, frankly. It's simple, it's delicious, it's not the classiest one. I mean, we end up using Nutella, but not just Nutella. Just Nutella would not be good enough. We raise the level of the recipe with some high quality dark chocolate chips. It's really tasty. You can use maybe a nicer quality hazelnut cream, or I don't know, almonds, coconut, whatever really you want. I tried one with peanut butter and wasn't mad about it. Maybe that's because I'm not really a peanut butter fan. Maybe I should try and make one with whole wheat and some healthier filling, maybe. Maybe not. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Now is cutting in two, because this is two babkas. Now let's go with the chocolate chips. Now we're gonna roll this, and after we roll them, we're gonna put them in the freezer for 15 minutes, so make room in the freezer for that. This step is not strictly necessary, it just makes it easier to then braid the babka. Make sure that your fingers are not covered in Nutella and filling, and then start using your thumbs and roll from one side like this. Now carefully here, and then try and kind of pull it a little bit to the outside, not too much. Then do it regularly like that. A better idea is to cut it in half if you make two babkas before you start spreading, so then you can put them a little bit one far from the other. Make sure this is sealed. It's going to be the pan that I'm going to put in the freezer. Let's seal it, but it should be fine. So, these are my two rolls, and I'm gonna put this in the freezer for 15 minutes. And then we can cut it in half, braid it, and do the final proofing. While the babka is in the freezer, you should prepare 2 loaf tins. Butter them. Butter them nicely, bottom and sides. So the tins are buttered, and now there's a few more minutes before I take the babka out of the freezer. So I want to show you the setting for the final proofing. It's going to be around 2.5–3 hours. And so we need to create a warm and humid environment. So what I'm doing, I'm going to put the babkas up here, and I'm going to put a pot with hot boiling water from the kettle down here. Just 5 minutes before we're going to braid the babkas. Okay, so out of the freezer, I'm making it just a little bit longer. It's nice and cold. Now what I'm doing is I'm just cutting this halfway, and we're just gonna do a simple braid, nothing too complicated or fancy. I'm using this. You can use a knife, a nice big knife. Oh, I think I cut through a chocolate chip. Here it is. Now, oh, can you see the layers? Beautiful. And now what I'm doing, just like this, and just braiding very simply, really. Try and make it tight so that you can have more braids. Sealed a little bit the ends. And now with this side up, I'm gonna just like bend it a little bit and let it kind of adapt to the shape of your tin. Second one, which is the one that has some Nutella on the side, so I hope it's not too messy. I'm bending it this way and then just letting it up, adapt. I've already put the pot with hot water in the oven, so it's already nice and steamy. I'm not going to put them on top of the pot, on the side here. And that's it. And now I'm going to leave it for, in a couple of hours, we're going to check and see how is it going. And then we might decide to keep them a little bit more or take them out so we can actually turn on the oven. Now, because I'm doing it in the oven, I have to obviously take them out once I preheat the oven. If you have a different cozy environment, you can just do the whole proofing there. Hey, see you later. Okay, so 2 hours have passed more or less. Let's take a quick look. It's growing and it smells great. It really smells nice inside. I'm gonna leave it here for another half an hour. I'm gonna show to you how it looks when it's ready. Okay, so it's almost 3 hours. Take a look at that. Looks beautiful. I'm gonna leave them here out. I'm gonna cover them with a towel. I'm gonna preheat the oven now to 175, 180 degrees Celsius. So oven is at temperature 180, maybe slightly less, with a fan on convection. You can do it without convection and it would be maybe 5 more minutes. Always keep an eye. These two beauties are ready. 25 minutes. While the babka is baking, we need to make this very simple syrup. 30 grams water and 40 grams sugar. Heat it up gently, stirring until all the sugar melts. And this is the syrup we're gonna pour on top of the babka the moment it comes out of the oven. Okay, it's ready. I'm gonna just pour it here. Ready. Exciting. Look at that. Okay, syrup immediately. It's warm. It's frying on top of the babka. You can see how it's soft and fluffy underneath. Look at the beauty of this decadent, chocolatey, and that's it. Now it needs to cool down. Wanna eat it. Now you need to just be patient. Then we're gonna taste it. Oh, so good. So let's see, how is this babka? Let's see if it comes out. Yes, nice. I just cut through the middle. That. Look at this. Here it is. It's still a bit warm. I could have waited probably a little bit, but I couldn't resist anymore. Oh, that's not how you should eat. Look at me, a little child. Oh, it's so good because the dark chocolate is actually really adding some bitterness to the sweet. I wouldn't call this a bittersweet experience actually. It's pretty sweet. And soft and moist. Top stuff, look at that. It's a really good babka. I recommend trying this recipe. Seriously. Do it now, let me clean my face. More presentable, more or less. You should really try this recipe. It's not too complicated. You have the rolling, it spans over 2 days, but it's just so good. Or you get some sourdough. Try this, I think it gives even an extra deep flavor compared to the commercial yeast. So go for sourdough. Go crazy with the filling, try something else. Yeah, that's it. Sourdough babka. Very good.
Sprei sich mir mit Kiche tritt. Hoi noch a Viertel zum Jahr, zu mir Jahr. Hoi mit dem Teistet